The 1999 Alamo Bowl. R.C. Slocum and the Texas A&M Aggies are fresh off a win against their rival, number 5 Texas. At this point, Slocum was considered a good coach, but not a great one. A coach with a less than stellar bowl game record. This was his chance to change the narrative against a Penn State squad that were national championship contenders earlier in the season. The Aggies came out hot. Then they threw an interception. Oh, A&M gets the ball back. Then they're sacked immediately. For 4 quarters, the Aggies got their teeth kicked in. The Aggies end the game with 202 total yards of offense, a 53% completion percentage, 2 yards per carry, 4 interceptions, 5 turnovers, and 0 points. R.C. Slocum couldn't get the monkey off his back that day, but there was a man carried off the field on the shoulders of others. In Jerry Sandusky's final game after 22 years as the defensive coordinator of the Penn State Nittany Lions, he pitched a no-hitter. In the coming months, he accomplished something no other college defensive coordinator has accomplished to this day. 2 defenders from his team, Courtney Brown and LeVar Arrington, were selected first and second overall. Jerry Sandusky is perhaps the most infamous figure in college football history, and for perfectly good reason. Most people don't know much about him outside of his heinous crimes, and most people shouldn't. But one night I found myself laying there thinking, was Jerry Sandusky a good coach? At Penn State, Jerry Sandusky coached D-line and linebackers from 1969 to 1976, and then he served as the defensive coordinator from 1977 to 1999. During that time, Sandusky won 2 national championships, sported a 60% winning percentage in top 10 matchups, went 15-6 in bowl games, sent almost 60 defenders to the league as a coordinator, 33 of those being linebackers, earning Penn State the moniker Linebacker University, or LBU. Some might say these records sound nice because Jerry Sandusky coached under Joe Paterno, a prolific coach in his own right, but Penn State's defensive success can largely be attributed to Sandusky, as he had full control of the defense. Don't believe me? Let's read the following Joe Paterno quotes. "I don't even go into defensive meetings. Jerry handles all of that. And I don't even know what we're doing on defense. I just turn it over to Jerry." Hell, at one point Paterno even joked that he couldn't fix problems with the defensive scheme because he didn't know enough about the scheme to begin fixing it. Sandusky had 2 traits that made him an elite coordinator. Trait 1, his linebacker philosophy. During his career, Jerry Sandusky wrote extensively on the Penn State way of linebacker play, which focused on reads and pursuit angles. Sandusky also coached a strict assignment discipline style of linebacker play. Sandusky's linebacker play was centered around mental acuity and fast pursuit. He even went so far as to call his linebackers the thinking man's linebackers. As a linebacker coach, Sandusky entered the national media spotlight on January 1st, 1972, the Cotton Bowl, number 12 Texas versus number 10 Penn State. The Texas Longhorns were the inventors and the masters of the wishbone. From 1968 to 1970, Texas won 30 games in a row running the wishbone. They had won a national championship and played for another. The scheme was the most copied scheme in the sport. Everyone copied it for a reason. It was difficult to stop in a 1 games. With the wishbone, the quarterback had a bunch of options to pitch to different backs in the field, making it incredibly hard to defend. It required immense discipline and a very cerebral style of linebacker. With the wishbone, the Longhorns were averaging 292 rushing yards per game on almost 5 yards per carry. Jerry Sandusky, the linebackers coach at the time, taught his linebackers a technique called scraping. The end of the tackle would crash hard inside to hit the fullback, the dive man. Then the linebacker would then scrape around that crashing lineman to the outside. By doing this, the linebacker would meet the quarterback or pitchman immediately, preventing the offense from ever outnumbering the defense on the edge. This technique required linebackers to have immense discipline, a keen eye to take an angle on the ball, and a strong understanding of assignments. Without any of these, this defense does not work whatsoever. But Sandusky's linebackers had just that. Texas was held to 159 rushing yards on 52 attempts, almost half their average. The Longhorns fumbled the ball 5 times, lost 3 of them, and they only put up 6 points. Sandusky became a household name in Penn State circles and was given a lot of credit in this win, with this game being a standout example of what it meant to be a linebacker at Penn State. Trait 2, Jerry's scheme. The reason Paterno didn't know about Sandusky's defensive schemes is probably because Sandusky never kept it the same. Sandusky constantly changed schemes mid-game, blended schemes together, changed schemes between games, deployed unorthodox, never-before-seen schemes in the biggest games of his career out of nowhere. 1987, Jimmy Johnson had the Miami Hurricanes rolling. Their offense averaged 38.2 points per game. Their average margin of victory was 26 points. Vinny Testaverde won the Heisman, and Michael Irvin wasn't doing crack yet. 11-0. These guys were unstoppable. They met Penn State in the 1987 National Championship. A fateful night for the Penn State offense as they were only able to gain 162 yards of offense. Absolutely abysmal. However, the story wasn't the same for the defense. Testaverde, the Heisman quarterback, threw not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5, yes, 5 interceptions on that night. Penn State won the game 14-10. Sandusky made Vinny Testaverde look like Nathan Peterman before Nathan Peterman was a sperm cell. So how did Jerry Sandusky make the Heisman quarterback throw 5 interceptions? Well, Sandusky deployed a unique nickel package, which utilized a 5th linebacker as the nickel player instead of a DB. They used this strategy in many games during the season, but only for a couple plays at a time. This was the first time they rolled out the package for the entire game. As opposed to having a nickel DB, the linebacker provided more options for blitz packages and made it easier to disguise them, which confused the fuck out of Vinny Testaverde and made it impossible to read the coverage. He told the DBs to play a soft zone over the top and let the linebackers play underneath, and his instincts were correct. Vinny Testaverde couldn't tell where any of the linebackers were going to be, and they accounted for 4 of the 5 interceptions in that game. Sandusky later said he didn't do anything new during the game. They just did everything they had done all season in one game. The Lions executed and went home with the hardware. Sandusky would go on to call this game the biggest game of his career. This was a perfect example of using unconventional strategies and pulling them out as a risky move in the biggest game of the season. A few years prior, the Nittany Lions squared off against the Georgia Bulldogs and Heisman winner Herschel Walker to play for the national championship. Herschel Walker was running through the Southeast Conference at breakneck speed. Sandusky's whole scheme for this game was built around interior defenses getting up the field so Walker could bounce it outside. This was a huge gamble. Herschel Walker was the most feared running back in college football, and the idea of letting him bounce it outside would have struck fear in defensive coordinators across the nation, but not Sandusky. The idea was that they got the ball to the outside, defensive backs would be fast enough to meet Walker at the edge before he could turn upfield. During that season, Herschel Walker averaged 160 yards per game on 5.2 yards per carry. Against the Nittany Lions, Walker averaged 3.6 yards per carry and ran for 102 yards. His longest run of the day was 12 yards. The defensive backs met him at the edge all night. Walker couldn't do anything to bounce or run outside. The Nittany Lions faced another Heisman the year prior in the Fiesta Bowl, Marcus Allen and the number 8 USC Trojans. Previously that year, Jerry Sandusky had done something very unorthodox. He had brought out a 2-man front against Dan Marino. He had noticed that Dan Marino had a lightning quick release, so instead of trying to put pressure on him, he would make him pick apart their defense, and they won that game. Sandusky rolled out another unorthodox front against Marcus Allen and the USC Trojans, an 8-man front. The Nittany Lions swarmed all game long and held Marcus Allen to 85 rushing yards. Penn State would play in 2 other national championships when Sandusky was a defensive coordinator. They lost both, but in those, Sandusky's defenses only gave up 14 points against Alabama, and in his defense's worst national championship performance, he gave up a modest 25 points against Oklahoma. Between the big game records, the NFL talent production, and unique schemes, Jerry Sandusky firmly cements himself in conversations among the likes of Brent Venables and Bud Foster for the best college defensive coordinator of all time. So going forward, when we look at Jerry Sandusky and we ask ourselves, was Jerry Sandusky a good coach? One can say, well, at least on the field.